If you've recently received a dementia diagnosis for someone you love, first, let me say something that I wish more families heard in that doctor's appointment. If you are feeling overwhelmed, confused, scared, or completely uncertain about what comes next, that is a very normal response. Because in my experience as a neuropsychologist, most families leave that appointment with a diagnosis, but not a roadmap. And that's a problem because the appointment itself is only about a 30-minute conversation, but the caregiving journey that follows will last for years. So today, I want to walk you through 7 things I believe every family should expect after a dementia diagnosis and explain the brain changes behind them so the road feels a little less scary. Hi, for those of you who are new here, my name is Dr. Sinclair. I'm a neuropsychologist, dementia care specialist, and founder of the Confident Caregiver Academy. Let's jump on in. Before we do, I want for you to first imagine you're standing in front of your house and someone tells you there's a crack in the foundation. At first glance, the house looks completely fine. The walls are standing, the lights work, the roof is not leaking, everything appears normal. But now you know something important. The issue isn't what the house looks like today. The issue is that the foundation supporting everything has begun to change. A dementia diagnosis is very similar. The person you love may still be driving, still cooking, still paying some of the bills, still telling stories, still recognizing the family. And because they may appear relatively normal, families often leave the appointment asking, okay, now what? The challenge is that dementia isn't an event, it's a process. And most families are given the diagnosis without being taught what that process actually looks like. So let's talk about 7 things I believe every family should expect after a dementia diagnosis. First expectation, the diagnosis usually creates more questions than answers. Most people think the diagnosis is the finish line, when in reality, it's the starting line. Families often walk into the appointment hoping for clarity, and you get that slightly. You get a diagnosis. And also, you leave with uncertainty. Questions like, how fast will this progress? What happens next? How much time do we have? Should they still be driving? What should we be doing right now? And one of the most frustrating answers you'll hear is, it depends. But the reason it depends is because dementia doesn't affect every brain the same way. Think of the brain as a city. Different neighborhoods have different jobs. One neighborhood helps with memory, another helps with planning and judgment, another helps to regulate emotions, another helps to interpret threats and keep us safe. Depending on which neighborhood is most affected, families may experience very different symptoms. For example, the hippocampus is heavily involved in forming new memories. The frontal lobes help with judgment, flexibility, problem solving, and emotional regulation, just to name a few. The amygdala acts as part of the brain's alarm system and helps determine whether something feels safe or threatening. So while 2 people may both receive a dementia diagnosis, their experiences can look vastly different. And that's one reason the diagnosis often creates more questions than answers. But understanding which brain systems are changing gives us clues about what to expect next. Second expectation, the emotional changes may surprise you more than the memory changes. This is one of the biggest surprises for families. Most people think dementia is solely a memory disorder, and memory is certainly a part of it. But the brain is so much bigger than our memory. I often hear caregivers say, I expected forgetting. What I didn't expect was the anger, the fear, the suspicion, the defensiveness, the anxiety, the accusations, and on and on and on. And honestly, that's often what creates the greatest stress inside families because no one prepared them for it. As a neuropsychologist, I often explain that when brain changes affect areas involved in emotional regulation, judgment, and threat detection, the person with dementia may experience the world vastly different than how they once did. Imagine walking through your day with an alarm system that's becoming extra sensitive. Situations that once felt neutral, innocuous, may now feel threatening. Suggestions may now feel like criticism. Help may now feel like control. Innocent questions may now feel like an interrogation. And when that happens, the brain often responds in a freeze, fight, or flight response, in a defensive way. This is one reason you may hear them say things like, "Stop telling me what to do. I already took my medication. I don't need your help. Why are you always trying to control me?" And from the caregiver's perspective, you are incredibly confused because you're just trying to help. But from their perspective, the situation is being interpreted in a very different way. Understanding that distinction doesn't make the behavior easy, but it often helps families stop blaming themselves because many of these reactions are symptoms of a changing brain and not evidence of how you're doing as a care partner. Third expectation, you will start grieving far sooner than you expected. This is something I wish more families understood from day one. A care partner once told me, I feel guilty because my husband is still here, but I already feel like I'm grieving. And that's incredibly common. What many care partners are feeling in that circumstance is something we refer to as anticipatory grief. You're grieving losses that haven't fully yet happened. Maybe you're grieving uncertainty. You're grieving future plans. You're grieving the version of the life you thought you were going to have. And then there's something called ambiguous loss. The person is still physically present, but things are changing. Maybe conversations feel different. Maybe decision-making feels different. Maybe your roles within the relationship are changing. And because the loss isn't clear-cut, it can be difficult for others to understand. People often expect grief after death, but many caregivers begin grieving years earlier. If that's where you are right now, please know this. Grief does not mean you've given up. Grief means you're recognizing that something important is changing, and acknowledging that reality is often part of adapting to it. Quick pause, care partners. If this is helpful to you, then please go ahead and like and subscribe. That small action tells YouTube to send this video to other care partners who may need the support. Thank you. Fourth expectation, the brain becomes less flexible. This may be one of the most important concepts I teach care partners because it explains so many behaviors. As certain brain networks change, the brain often becomes less cognitively flexible. Think of it this way. A healthy brain can be like a car on a highway. It can change lanes, take a detour, adjust to new information, change direction. But as dementia progresses, the brain often becomes more like a train on tracks. Once it's moving in a particular direction, changing course becomes harder. And suddenly, a lot of behaviors now begin to make sense. Why do they keep asking the same question? Why are they so attached to routines? Why do they get upset when plans change? Because the brain is struggling to shift gears. One care partner told me, we argued for 45 minutes about whether it was Tuesday or Wednesday. The problem wasn't really the day. The problem was that once the brain locked onto a belief, changing tracks became difficult. And this is why I often tell caregivers, your goal is not to win the argument. Your goal is to understand what the brain is struggling to do. Because once you understand that the issue is cognitive flexibility, your response changes. You stop trying to force a new track and instead learn how to work with the one brain, the one track that they're already on. Expectation number 5. Good days and bad days don't mean the diagnosis is wrong. One of the most confusing things families experience after a diagnosis is inconsistency. One day your loved one seems completely like themselves. They're telling stories, remembering names, having conversations, making jokes, and you find yourself thinking, maybe the doctor was wrong. Then 2 days later, they seem dramatically worse. And now you're wondering, is their dementia progressing? In many cases, neither conclusion is accurate. As a neuropsychologist, one of the ways I explain this to my families is through a phone battery metaphor. Imagine your phone battery is fully charged. The phone works well. Apps load quickly. Everything runs smoothly. Now imagine the battery drops to 20% or 10%. Suddenly things start to slow down. The phone freezes, performance changes, but it's still the same phone. The difference is the resources available to it. The brain works in the same way. Sleep deprivation, stress, pain, anxiety, overstimulation, hospitalizations, medication changes, even something as simple as dehydration. All of these can reduce the brain's available resources. And when a brain that's already working harder by virtue of having dementia is stressed and has reserved capacity, then it can't compensate as well. This is one of the reasons families often notice dramatic fluctuations. In fact, one of the first questions I ask when families come to me with a sudden change is, what else has changed? Because many times the issue isn't dementia itself, it's infection, poor sleep, constipation, a medication side effect, pain that hasn't been identified, or an environment that has become overwhelming for your person with dementia. And this distinction matters. That simple question is important to ask, because if a person suddenly becomes much more confused than usual, don't automatically assume this is the new normal. Instead, ask, what else could be contributing? I can't tell you how many families have called me in a panic because their loved ones suddenly seemed dramatically worse, only to discover a UTI, untreated pain, or another medical issue as the real culprit. This is another example of why understanding the brain matters. Because when you understand that the brain performance can actually fluctuate, you stop assuming every bad day means disaster. And that perspective can prevent a tremendous amount of your fear. Sixth, expectation. Family dynamics become part of the diagnosis. This is one section no one talks about, and honestly, I wish they did. Because when a diagnosis enters a family, it rarely only affects one person. It affects the entire system. One thing I've observed over and over is this: dementia doesn't create family patterns, it exposes them. The organized sibling becomes even more organized, and it can often be misinterpreted as controlling. The rescuer tries desperately to rescue even harder. The avoidant sibling becomes even more avoidant. The critic becomes more critical, and oftentimes critical of the one doing all the work. Old tensions that have existed for decades suddenly reappear, and all of this is happening while everyone is scared, everyone is grieving, and everyone is trying to figure out what to do. One sibling may want to pursue every treatment possible. Another may be focused on the quality of life. One person may be reading every book they can find. Another may be avoiding every conversation entirely. And when families don't understand what's happening, they often assume the other one doesn't care. But many times that's not what's happening. People cope differently. Some move toward problems, others move away from them. Some become highly emotional, others become highly practical. And those differences can create an enormous amount of conflict. I've worked with countless families where the biggest challenge wasn't actually dementia at all. It was the disagreement about how to respond to dementia. Who should help? How much help is needed? Whether mom is safe, whether dad can still drive, whether it's time for additional support. These conversations can be incredibly difficult, which is why one of the most important things I help families with in the Academy is this: try not to make the other the enemy. Dementia is the challenge, not each other. Because when families unite around solving the problem together, the journey often becomes significantly easier. And when they don't, caregiver stress tends to multiply. So if you're finding yourself struggling with siblings or other family members right now, know that you're not alone. This is so common. Sadly, it's so common after a dementia diagnosis. Seventh, expectation. Skills matter more than stages. If you've watched my channel for any length of time, you probably know that I believe care partners often become overly focused on one question: what stage are we in? And I understand why. Stages feel predictable. They feel concrete. They feel like they provide certainty. But after nearly 2 decades working with families, I found that a different question is more helpful. Instead of what stage are we in, try asking, what is the brain struggling with today? Because the answer to that question tells you how to respond. Is the brain struggling with memory? Are they struggling with fear, overstimulation, confusion, fatigue, loss of control, difficulty shifting gears, difficulty communicating? Once you understand the challenge, the response becomes more clear. If someone is frightened, reassurance may help. If they're overstimulated, reducing noise and the activity may help. If they're confused, simplifying information may help. If they're struggling with cognitive flexibility, arguing is probably going to make things worse. This is why I often say love is essential, of course, but love alone is not a caregiving strategy. Skills matter. Communication skills, problem-solving skills, stress management skills, behavior management skills, advocacy skills. The families who feel most confident are rarely the families who know all of the dementia facts. They're the families who have learned how to respond effectively to what their loved one's brain is experiencing. And that's a very different thing. When you develop those skills, caregiving becomes a lot less reactive, less chaotic, and far more manageable. Not because dementia has gotten better, but because you become better equipped to navigate it. I remember working with a family several years ago. Mom had dementia, and the family kept asking the same question in our appointments. What stage is she in? What stage is she in, Dr. Sinclair? Every appointment, every conversation, what stage is she in? And I understood why. They were asking because they wanted certainty. They wanted a roadmap. They wanted to know what was coming next. But one day I gently asked them a different question. Instead of asking what stage she's in, I asked, what is her brain struggling with today? And the room was quiet because suddenly the conversation changed. Instead of talking about stages, we started talking about what was actually happening for them. Was she forgetting information? Yes, but that wasn't the only issue, and that wasn't even the biggest problem for them. What was creating the biggest problem was fear. She was scared. She didn't understand why things felt different. She felt confused a lot. She felt like she was losing control. And because she felt less in control, she became more resistant to their help. Once they understood that, their response completely changed. They stopped trying to convince, stopped trying to correct, stopped trying to argue, and instead started focusing on how can we help her feel safe. And the resistance they had been fighting for months began to decrease. Not because dementia suddenly disappeared, but because their approach improved. And that's really the shift I hope happens for you today after watching this video. The goal isn't to become an expert in dementia stages. The goal is becoming skilled at understanding what the brain is struggling with in that moment and how can you respond effectively. If there's one thing I hope that you've taken away from today's video, it's this. A dementia diagnosis is not a prediction of exactly what tomorrow will look like. It's an invitation to begin learning a new language, the language of this ever-changing brain. And the more fluent you become in that language, the less confusing this journey starts to feel. Most families are told what dementia is, a little bit. Very few are taught how to live with it, which is exactly why I created the Confident Caregiver Academy, because understanding the diagnosis is important, sure, but knowing what to do, what to say, and how to respond when challenges arise, that is what helps families to feel confident. If you're looking for that kind of roadmap, I'd love to support you. We're welcoming a small group of families into our next Academy cohort and currently have 4 openings available. If you'd like to learn more, you can schedule a call with me using the link below to see whether you're a fit. And remember that house we talked about in the beginning, the one with the poor foundation? The goal isn't to spend every day staring at that crack. The goal is learning what to do next to help support the structure for as long as you can. Thank you so much for being here, Care Partners. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.